So, if you had the opportunity, would you want to have the ability to turn into, possess, or disguise yourself as an animal next?
I would most certainly want to. That is an interesting question. I wonder why she's asking me
I
that.
wonder why. I mean, I would want to have the ability to change into an animal.
Can I just ask you what animal would you like to transform into? Might as well if we're on this
Something
question.
that flies, so I can just
Something that lets you
fly
can fuck
somewhere.
off.
So I just
You
kind of
can.
just like yeet off to another country. Just be like,
Yep.
free travel. Don't need to pay an airplane.
I mean, I could see that. Yeah, yeah. I'm thinking.
Like I
That's
can,
pretty
like a
cool.
small bird maybe, so I can still like fly in front of someone's windows. Like I'm not, don't see
Yeah.
me, but I'm totally spying.
So basically, not a condor, not an eagle, not a big bird. It's like
Like
a
a dove, like a dove
sparrow,
fits
a
in
dove.
anywhere. Like you see them
Yeah,
everywhere, so you know.
that would be very good too. You could sit in Venice all day. Nobody would even
Yeah.
assume. Like you could just chill on, like you sitting your Venetian dove, smoking your cigarette, sake bluing. Wait,
Yeah.
no, that's the French. Um,
So I asked this question because today's topic for Mythical Blue is skinwalkers. So in Navajo culture, a skinwalker is a type of harmful witch who has the ability to turn into, possess, or disguise themselves as an animal. So it's a difficult legend to kind of research because they're very private. It's not well understood because they are very reluctant to share their skinwalker stories and the legend itself to
yep.
people with people outside their culture.
So basically, the Navajo guys don't really like to talk about it.
You're a
That's what I'm getting.
stranger. I'm not telling you my stories.
I mean, I kind of get that. Imagine someone comes to you and is like, "Hey, tell me everything you know about your culture, so I can,
Tell
destroy it,
me
basically."
all the secret
Yeah,
stories of
so I
your
can make a movie out
culture
of it,
so I
and
can
people,
get mad cash from it and you
yeah,
get
mad,
nothing.
yeah, you get shit.
So the Navajo are a part of a larger cultural area that also includes the Pueblo people, the Apache, Hopi, Ute. I don't know
Yep.
if I'm saying this
Well,
right.
I
And
think those
other
are.
groups that also have their own versions of the Skinwalker myths, but each includes like a malevolent witch capable of transforming itself into an animal.
So
Many,
last
yeah,
we had this one. We had this one. Like this is a very to me. This is very much related to werewolves when it comes to
yeah,
Europeans. Like Europeans, werewolves. Native Americans, skinwalkers.
yeah,
And
true.
there are a lot of stories when it comes to them. Seeing them like IRL today, but most of them are just bullshit. It seems.
You
So I
see
guess let's
werewolves
delve into it.
IRL today?
Yeah, apparently there's a lot of skinwalkers today. Yeah, you don't see you saw werewolves right before the cameras were kind of invented, and then like there's apparently no more werewolves or vampires or anything, and I
Werewolves are
wonder why.
real, vampires are real, zombies are real. But oh shit, now cameras exist now.
Yeah,
They disappeared, guys. I don't know where they went. I swear there was one in my garden yesterday, but now with these cameras here, I,
just couldn't catch them.
I
The,
don't
the
know.
battery was off. It's
They're
this is
smart.
why.
They
Oh my
know.
god,
They know how to hide. They're
this
smart.
is why the iPhone has shit battery. Like every phones just have shit battery now. They're like, guys, with good battery they'll be able to film all the time, but with shit battery they'll barely be able to catch them.
Yeah,
You know, that's
exactly,
proof that iPhone is basically everything made by them is basically they're aliens, is what I'm saying.
exactly. So many Navajos believe firmly in the existence of skinwalkers and they refuse to discuss them publicly for fear of retribution. Those skinwalkers are gonna come and get you in the middle of the night, you know. They
I
believe
mean, yeah.
skinwalkers walk freely among the tribe and secretly transform under the cover of the night.
You
So
know what
I guess
this
it's kind
tells
of
me?
like werewolves.
Like what? Yeah. It seems like it's a general theme throughout humanity. It's like we can't see very well during the night. Might as well do it then. Plus, most animals can traverse
Yeah,
during the night. Technically, humans can too. Just like it's a little bit harder for us in
our
some
eyes are
cases.
not adapted
You know
to
what?
do
It's
that.
funny to me that the skinwalkers' existence. It's like they believe, but refuse to discuss because they fear retribution. It's like snitches get stitches. That's the thing I immediately think of. It's like, ooh,
Yes.
damn, the Navajo are fucking like
You're not
beautiful.
allowed to talk about it, or we're gonna come and fuck you up.
We're gonna fuck you up,
We're
and,
gonna
and
fuck you
I'll
up.
be in a wolf form and fuck you up. I'll bite your
Yeah.
ankles.
I'll be a willow bird. I'm gonna pick out your eyes.
Yep.
Okay, so the term Yi Nadushi.
That's a term
That's a
for
term for.
Skinwalkers in their language.
Mhm.
It's commonly referred to, I think, as just Naldushi, spelled with Na. There's a lot of A's and O's and I's.
Yeah,
There's a lot of yeah,
Nadushi.
something like that. Sounds like
I'm probably offensive to them now.
nah, you're fine. I think yeah, we're doing this with all due
Look,
respect. There's
I
nothing.
looked up how to pronounce Navajo. There was not a thing on how to pronounce this word. Okay,
Please,
I
no,
don't
you're
know.
doing great. You're doing great.
I'm doing my best.
Yeah.
So
I think
this word translates to "with it he goes on all fours," and according to Navajo legend, a skinwalker is a medicine man or witch who has attained the highest level of priesthood in the tribe, but chose to use his or her power for the evil by taking form of an animal to inflict pain and suffering on others. So you have like people that are like healers, and that's like good, that's accepted, do your thing, and then you have those who use it for evil and they turn into skinwalkers.
You remember how we talked about how monsters in general, like vampires and demons and gargoyles, all of these things we've discussed so far, kind of just exist just to be annoying to humans. It's like, I like how this is just like the same thing where it's like, oh yeah, we just do this just to be annoying to people.
Evil.
Yeah, they choose to be evil. This is the Sith of the like Navajo people. They have like cool warriors, dressed in like amazing, like naturally, gathered everything like
but
super.
Like in Star Wars, they have their black capes and whatever, they cool outfits, just like.
Wait, what?
Like in Star Wars and everything, the evil ones also have these cool outfits.
Yeah.
These skinwalkers also walk around with their furs from the animal they transform into.
That is true. That is true. You're right about
badass,
this. Yeah, they walk in the animals that they.
Yeah, we'll come back to that later. Apparently, you can learn Navajo on Duolingo. I didn't know that. That's pretty cool.
Awesome.
That's pretty cool. I wonder if they have that word in there.
That would be interesting to see. Yeah.
Now you might ask yourself, how the fuck do I become a skinwalker? Kind of interesting, I want to transform into an animal, whether or not I need to be evil to do that. Debatable, I mean, so maybe I am evil, So, okay, to become a skinwalker, it requires the most evil of deeds, the killing of a close family member. Okay, so maybe I don't want to be this evil then, because I don't think I have any family members. I'm like, yeah, I want to kill that bitch.
I mean, don't you have a couple of brothers? It's like it's not.
I think I have enough brothers. One more or less, One less.
Please,
Who will
for
notice?
the love of God, do not try to become a skinwalker by killing your. I'm just joking.
We do not condone killing your siblings. Okay.
Yeah, we do not condone unless they're absolutely evil, in which case you're fine. But no,
self-defense, but also then try not to.
But can you become a skinwalker if you kill someone in self-defense though?
I'm not sure. I think you need to do it with evil intent.
Okay, so it's not self-defense, definitely.
Yeah, because they keep going back on the fact that it's evil people. So they literally become humans who have acquired immense supernatural.
I love that. Supernatural. Oh my God, Putin is a skinwalker. Yes. I knew it. He's gonna live like I'm gonna die, and he's still gonna be like 50.
It's gonna look the same for the next 20 years, Immense supernatural power.
I'm sorry.
Including the ability to transform into animals and other people, apparently, as well. So not only other animals, also into other people.
Like what do you call this? Like a
puppet master, according to the Navajo skinwalker legend, these evil witches are typically seen in the form of a coyote or owl.
Coyote, owl, yep.
Fox, wolf, or crow. Although they do have the ability to turn into any animal they choose, they are most often depicted as one of these animals. Mm-hmm. I can understand these animals. Crow, like I said, like a bird. I would be a bird.
Yeah, it's a
imagine just like walking around at night and seeing like a crow or whatever, be like, you're a fucking skinwalker. I see your beady little eyes, it's you. These skinwalkers then wear the skins of the animal they transform into, hence the name skinwalker. Sometimes they also wear animal skulls or antlers on top of their heads. That's kind of scary. If
See,
you're
last time we talked about Wendigos, most of the pictures that are supposed to be skinwalkers are attributed to Wendigos. It's like Wendigos are basically werewolves. Skinwalkers are like imagine a human and they just put on the like head dress, out of an animal,
yeah,
and quite often it might include antlers, right? Like
yeah.
shit like that. And
I
often,
would be
yeah,
freaked out.
yeah, I'd definitely be
If I
freaked out.
walk into the woods and I see someone with fucking skull and antlers on their fucking head, I would be
Yeah.
bye. Yeah, yeet out of there.
Dad also cadoodle.
Yes. It sounds like the South Keys of Scotland, where seals transform into women, and if you find their skin while on land, you can hide it away from them and force them to marry you. What? That's a weird legend. Rednecks. I haven't heard of that.
Did I miss that? Motherfucker, I missed that. Okay, I'll keep chat open.
In my chat. Oh, he posted a link. Oh, sorry, Nightball.
Oh, cool.
Oops.
I mean, what did you expect?
So wearing these animal skulls and shit gave them extra power apparently, and they choose what animal they want to turn into depending on the abilities needed for that particular task, such as speed, strength, endurance, stealth, claws, teeth, etc. They may transform again if trying to escape from pursuers. So I guess they can just switch around which animal they want to change into. Like, oh,
This is like a
I'm a
World of Warcraft
crow. Oh,
druid.
I'm a coyote.
Yeah, this is like a WoW druid where you can just like whatever you need. Like you need to be a bird, fucking fly away. You need to be a bear, good luck. You need to be a fucking, I don't know, a tree. Good luck with that. Sure, why
I
not?
don't think there's any stories of them turning into trees, but
Look, do we have stories saying that they don't turn to trees? Exactly. I didn't think so.
True. And like they're very secretive. Maybe some trees are
Which part of the
skinwalkers.
world? Which part of the world actually has this like idea that everything has kind of a spirit, like even stones and stuff like that? I think, or
No
is
idea.
that just like a video game or a movie I saw and I'm like,
You're
I
like,
think
this
there's
is fact. This is true.
there has to be. I think it's either Native American or something like that. That
I'm not sure. I'm not
some
sure.
parts are like, yo, yeah, like everything kind of has a spirit. So fucking Shinto. Oh, Shinto, the Japanese dudes. Exactly. There you go.
Oh,
So
okay.
I could see how, like in Japan, maybe like a skinwalker, because skinwalker is really a term from Native Americans, but really it's like a universal.
It's everything has their
So
own version of it.
totemists aren't Native Americans totemists actually? Technically, I think they are. So there might
Africa,
be.
tribal Asian populations, Shinto, Celts, and Native Americans attributed souls to everything.
Yeah, so it's mostly like Christians and like Muslims, I think, that say it's like, oh, only the human has a soul, animals
Only
don't have
humans
souls.
have souls, according to us.
Some compote, thank you very much.
Okay, so because of them wearing like the skin of the animals they turn into and shit like that, the Navajo consider it taboo for its members to wear the pelt of any predatory animal. However, sheepskin, leather, and buckskin are okay. You can wear those, but not other animal skins.
So that's like the vegan shaman versus the like Chad meat eater shaman. That's like fucking wear all the beasts on my head.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
It's,
I guess it's like the kind animals versus the ones that are predators.
Yeah, you're not in Navajo culture, I guess. You're not allowed to wear skin or pelts from predatory animals because then you're a skinwalker.
There you go.
That's their proof. That's how they meet,
That's the same stuff with like
How to freak out your Native American grandmother. Wear a wolf pelt and surprise her from behind a corner.
That's evil.
How
No,
to
don't
kill
do
your
that.
grandmother.
There you go. That's how you become a skinwalker. You kill your grandmother by giving her a fucking heart attack.
Oh, poor lady.
Poor lady. There you go. Okay, so
Okay,
let's
so
see.
those who have talked of their encounters with these evil beings describe a number of ways in which a skinwalker will try to inflict harm. Some describe hearing knocks on the window or bang on the walls. Look, that's just your neighbor fucking someone. intently, you know? That's the
On the
banging on
wall,
your
fucking them
wall.
on the wall.
That's
They're
the
nailing
banging
them on
you
the wall.
hear.
This
Others
is
as
legit though. This is legit though. Like what you're saying there. It's like someone's like, "Oh no, the demons are taking over my house," and it's just like
yeah.
your son
It's your
furiously masturbating
neighbor having
your daughter.
fun.
Yeah, it's neighbors. It's the fucking like I don't know the dogs barking. The fucking demons. Wait, what? No.
I guess they
The
had some
barbecue.
huts or something as well, like not tents, but like
No,
maybe wood
they had the fucking
cabins.
wigwams. What are those called? Wigwams, I think, right? The
No,
little
yeah, I don't
specific.
know because people are confused with banging on the walls, thinking like they only lived in tents. Or
Yeah, they definitely lived in not in houses like ours. And I'd love to live in a fucking like little Indian house like that. It would probably require a lot of like actual knowing how to deal with shit. Because imagine it breaks, like you have to go fucking hunt another bison. There you go.
yep.
Yeah, okay.
Others have spotted an animal-like figure peering in through a window. According to Navajo Skinwalker legend, they are seldom caught, however. Like, the people have claimed to have seen one,
Yeah.
but they can't catch them, you know? Those who do track a skinwalker and learn of their true identity must pronounce the name of the evil one in full. So what if you see someone and you don't remember their name and just like, Jeff, Johnny,
Rednex! Oh no, rednex on that. It would. How do you know? How do we get this information? Like Native Americans don't want to share it. We maybe I don't know. Maybe they like beat it out of them or some shit. I don't know. Like, how does
Knowing
information like
history,
this
probably
pass?
some violence was involved, you know?
Probably, fucking yeah.
Probably, or there's like one guy that made shit up and it was like, yeah, this is totally a legend in our culture.
Yeah. It's crazy. Um.
Okay, so you must pronounce the name in full. And once that
Yes.
happens, the skinwalker will get sick or die for all the wrongs they have inflicted against others.
So
So it's
basically,
kind of
the
like
more.
it's
Go for it.
karma. It's
Yeah,
karma coming for you. If someone pronounces your name, it's like, ah shit, now I'm fucked.
dude. Imagine being like I don't know, a Twitch streamer, like a famous one, and being like a skinwalker, and like in your off time, you'd only have like about 5 seconds to like be a skinwalker, because otherwise someone would be like, "Hey, do you know that streamer?" and says his name, you know, like you're like, I'm dying." That would be
uh,
horrible.
I wonder if he only have to say the name when he's in his form of
In
skinwalker
his
or
form and in front of you, or like, yeah, you also
yeah.
see there's interbreeding between natives and Europeans, maybe, probably that might
Yeah,
have, yeah.
probably. Probably.
That's how some information was leaked, I guess.
So we said earlier, so apparently they cannot take possession of other human beings. They can be the little puppet master. Um so if a person if a person locks eyes with them, they can possess them. And after
Oh,
taking control, the witch can make its victim do and say things that they wouldn't do otherwise.
that's
So
so
if you
cool.
do something bad, you can just be like, "Oh my god, I was
It was
possessed. I swear, it was
Skinwalker.
someone made me do it.
I swear, I didn't look at your nice
I
PP
didn't
or
want to pull
ass.
my dick out in the middle of the supermarket. I swear, I was possessed by a skinwalker."
Well, at least they're being kind about it. I heard stories about the same thing, but in schools, and I'm like, yeah, skinwalkers, definitely skinwalkers.
Skinwalkers.
There's more PP
Uh,
walkers.
yeah. So once they were shapeshifted, one way that others could tell that they were not a real animal is that their eyes are very different than those of the actual animal. Instead, their eyes are very human, and when lights are shined upon them, they turn bright red. Alternatively, when they are in human form, their eyes look more like animals. So yeah,
There you
Nix,
go.
I think your eyes look a bit like animals. Do you want to tell them
Don't,
something?
don't. If they say my name, I will die right now.
Say 3 times in the mirror, turn around every time. Nix this, Nix this.
No, didn't. I
And that
wish. I
was
wish that.
basically what I could find on Skinwalkers. There wasn't that much information to be found because, like we said, they're very private about their
Like,
stories.
if you want to find out more about this, just look at specific stories. I don't want to delve into specific stories too much, unless it's like somehow related to the like the just big ass like there's she said almost everything there is to say about this. Like there's not much more you can add. So specific stories wouldn't really help us in understanding them, I don't think. But yeah, there's definitely like horror stories out there.
Yeah.
There's made up ones. There's ones that are specific encounters, right? Like real encounters,
I
quote
swear I
unquote.
saw one.
I swear I saw one, guys. Not lying. I took my dick out not on purpose. It was a skinwalker. Oh, boo. But yeah,
Someone make me do it.
yeah. I looked into this a little bit more, and I was like, what is there? Like, what is a skinwalker really? It's a shapeshifter. That's what I found. That's what I
Yeah.
understand of it. So I looked at a little bit of European, Asian, African stuff, and the ones I stopped and looked most at because I was like, ooh, that's cool. Was the European mythology stuff because it's closest to it to what I could see, and it even has a term for it. It's called therianthropy. So that's the ability of human beings to transform or metamorphose into animals by means of shapeshifting. So shapeshifting itself is supposed to be a superhuman ability or some kind of a divine intervention or demonic manipulation or sorcery or spell or just some, I don't know, like what's that thing called when you like become of age? It's like puberty.
What?
Guess that?
You
I
hit
don't know.
puberty, now you can change into an
I can
animal.
change. No, I mean that's kind of true. Like a lot of guys, like look at me.
True, some guys I've had in my
Right.
chat, they are animals, and I'm just like, okay, buddy.
I was an innocent-looking baby when I was younger, and then puberty hit, and then I became just a disgusting fat werewolf. So there we go.
Disgusting family room. Okay, okay.
So in the Navajo culture, it seems like they preferred creature for said skinwalkers to shapeshift, and the wolf coyote for Japanese, for example, it's the kitsune. There's a term for it. I think it's foxes. There's a few others actually, but this one was the one that I thought was kind of cooler. I guess the fox, right? For Europeans, it's often the werewolf or any mythical creature, depending on the context of the story. Like you know the like frog princess stuff. Like
Yeah.
I think the Russians also have like one of those where it's like the princess was a frog and then transformed into a human, stuff like that. There's many like so I can't even like there was this list just off of Wikipedia that was so big. I was like, yeah, I'm not going through all of this. This is so much.
If you look at skinwalkers from the point of view of okay, it's like shapeshifters, then there's a shit ton of stories to
There's a
find.
shit ton of
Like when you look at it specifically from the Navajo point of view, it's limited information. But if you look the
generally
general picture,
from
like,
all cultures. If
every
you take it as
culture has some sort of shapeshifter that can turn
Yep.
into an animal, whether it's for good or bad, demonic
So,
or
I
heaven.
wonder. This is what I truly want to know. I don't care about like modern stuff when it comes to skinwalkers. I'd like to know stories from the people themselves, from the Navajo people themselves, legends passed on, which is probably sadly unavailable since the one time we came over, people came over and like killed everyone. But that's what would
Sadly.
interesting me the most, because like for Europeans, for example, we have the Odyssey. Homer's Odyssey, which is like involves a lot of like weird ass skinky animals, all types of things. So we have shapeshifting because of a curse into pigs and donkeys. Another aspect of that differs for us that indeed is often these transformations were curses and punishments. Like for the Navajo, they're like a power that they do, but for Europeans, shapeshifting often is a punishment.
Really?
Yeah, like for example, they transformed, right? The Navajo transformed into like sages and wiser elders that became evil or some shit. I don't know.
But then they're stuck in that form, or
Some of them, like in European culture, yes. I'll give you a couple of examples in a minute or two. But think about it this way: like for Navajo, we only know that the Skinwalkers are the bad guys. But what about the good guys? There has to be some good guy priests or stuff like that transform and stuff like that. I didn't think about it. Shit.
like what I read about them was like you have the good magic, I guess, the healers.
Yeah.
It didn't say that they also changed
They
into.
don't transform. They don't change
Yeah.
and stuff like that.
They just use their power for the good of healing, and if you use your power for the bad and evil, then you transform.
So basically, another point to be made from the Wendigo episode we did was that Native Americans generally were quite like advanced or less advanced, doesn't matter how. Like, they were quite wise when it came to this. It's like these mythical stories often just portrayed principles and ideas. It's like, oh, if you're gonna become a medicine man, an elder, or a sage of some kind, and you're gonna become evil, this is what's gonna happen to you. One day you're gonna say, you're gonna transform into a coyote, you're gonna roam and kill and murder, and someone's gonna catch you though, because karma's a bitch, and karma exists in every fucking culture. It doesn't matter if it's Indian or not, in one way or another, right? And they're gonna say your name, and you're gonna die terribly. You're gonna die from poison or some shit. Or you could be a nice person, and you could live to be 100, and die with like grandchildren next to you and all that stuff.
They probably
Like,
use these stories to convince people to be
yeah,
good.
because like with the Wendigo stuff, that's the whole thing about it. Like, we made it into a monster, but the people themselves kind of took it for a idea. Like, it was more of a thing that would be like, can confirm karma basically exists in Scotland. There you go. Yeah. But yeah. Let me give you a couple of examples, actually, I guess. So, a few examples of these punishments and curses in European culture is Zeus having transformed King Lycaon, one of those, and his children into wolves. Here's where we get the term lycanthropy, which is, werewolves. So, Zeus is responsible for Europeans having werewolves, which boggles my mind because it's like, Slavs also have like not Zeus, werewolf related stuff, right? Like we have like, not we, because I'm not a Slav really, but people in Eastern Europe, Slavs also. Shh, I'm not a KGB agent. I swear. I swear. No.
A
I swear.
square?
I swear. Don't.
Is this like your way of getting out of swearing into something? Like, a square. I'm not one of
definitely not in
them.
danger.
A square.
But yeah, the thing was that like, it's funny how like Greek mythology influenced even Slavs and stuff like that. Like, people as far as west and east from the Greeks themselves have been influenced by stuff like this. So yeah, the Zeus was a bitch. Let's start it with that.
Yeah, pretty sure
Eris,
he was.
god of war, right? Assigned Electrion to keep watch while he was banging Aphrodites, but the guy fell asleep, right? The guy that was supposed to watch, like this. Also, first of all, he's fucking Zeus's other wife, and he's banging her. And in the meanwhile, he's like, "Yo, dude, can you keep watch? Thank you, love you.
Keep an eye on the door, Betty. Just
I'll
gotta
owe you
go bang
something after
someone.
Guy falls asleep, and like every other god finds out. Like, someone like snitches, gets stitches, but they found out. And because of this, Ares actually transformed Electron, or what's his name? Electron, yeah, into a cock, a male chimkin, like a cock-a-doodle-doo animal, so that every morning he'd give a signal. Maybe this is where we also get. I don't know. Fucking probably not. Yeah, thanks, Aries, for the many shameful boners I had to endure during, places that were they were definitely inappropriate. Out of all of these, though, my favorite one has to be Artemis, which is the goddess of the hunt. Which in one case transformed Actaeon into a stag for being a sneaky little cunt that watched her cave. She was taking a bath, and he was like, "Ooh,"
she caught him.
He was gonna like, "Oh, I'm putting this on Pornhub," and she was like, "Bam, you're a stag now." Got him.
Did she hunt him?
She never had to, because apparently ancient Greece was so full of hunters all the time that like it's basically like a starting zone in a MMORPG where you see low level noobs just like run around, like jumping constantly and like hunting shit. I don't know, fucking hunters. And it like there was always some other guy, some other hunter that was gonna get fucked by Artemis later on, or Artemis. But at the moment, they were useful in some other way, right? So this guy became, because he was a sneaky bastard, he became a stag, and his dogs ate him. He was a hunter as well, so he had dogs.
Good doggos.
Right there, right? And there's another one that I like that I didn't include here. My favorite one, actually. So there was this hunter that hunted a mama bear, right? Like a bear lady, and the bear lady had a couple of cubs, a couple of kids. And Artemis saw this and transformed the guy into a bear, and he became a bear. And then, like, sort of, I guess there's like a cartoon that's sort of similar to this, but that's beside the point now that I think about it. But basically, the point was to show him how hard the life of that bear was, and he sort of understood it and defended those bears after another hunter came, right? Aww. And he died. And to remember him, I think he was either made into like the Ursa Major or like one of those like stars.
Oh, and
I think there's one name. I think his name is. I don't know if that specific name is related or not. Arcturus. It's like white bear or something like that in Greek,
Not sure.
and it's used in StarCraft. It's some of you guys might know the name from StarCraft, but it's also the name of a star that is in that constellation thingy or something like that. So basically, Artemis was very fond of transforming people into weird random shit,
Yeah, she
and
she liked hunting, I guess, but you
she
have to
likes
be respectful to
yeah
Prego
yeah
and Mama
Mega
animal.
Mamas. So absolutely yeah, and yeah, what else? So another one from Europe is Atalanta and Hippomenes, who were
Mm-hmm.
turned into lions after they made some hardcore sex in a temple. I wrote lovin', but this is probably they banged hard in
They
Zeus's
banged
temple.
and they turned into a lions.
They banged so hard that Zeus was like, "That's some good banging. Here's a curse, become lions, right?"
How dare you bang my temple?
So apparently Arachnia was also punished and transformed into spider by Athena. Yeah, for Europeans it's mostly curses. Like the reasons we have animals, it seems like it's curses or some shit.
Yeah,
Um Also a lot of these names are like Atalanta, is that related to Atlantis? I don't know.
I don't know.
Arachnia,
Yeah,
Arachnia, that's where you get arachnids.
yeah.
Um Different other names. Probably I don't know, Electron, I'm not sure if that means fucking cock in Greek, not penis, not talking about peepees.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, for other cultures, shapeshifters could also transform into various beings and mythical creatures, some being fairies, Spriggans, and British and Celtic mythology.
What are
Loki,
Spriggans?
Spriggans, yeah. You
What
know
are
those?
no? What are those?
They're I don't know, and they exist in the WoW as well in World of Warcraft. They're like basically little like demon plant thingies. They're little annoying cunts basically, and it's just fairies. It's basically like fairies
Okay.
and demons and stuff like that. So in Norse mythology, Loki transformed into a mare, so into a female horse, so he could give birth to Odin's horse Sleipnir, which was faster than the fastest, I don't know, like Formula One car. I don't know.
He transformed
Um,
into a horse, give birth to another
yes,
horse.
yes. He wanted to. I don't know. They were like. I feel like the Norse. I feel like gods in general are like so fucking like crazy.
Yeah.
Besides the supernatural aspect, it's like Odin's like, hey, I bet you won't transform into like a female, into like a mare to bear my like horse that I wanted to have for like forever,
Maybe
but
he wanted to know what
delivery
it
is
was
not.
like to give birth, you know.
Maybe one like he was a weird one. Loki was like
Loki is
fucking.
a weird one.
Loki was like doing weird shit before that though. Loki was like the reason. I think didn't he like have a couple of those scenarios where he gave birth? I think Loki's not really like a guy in the North mythology. He's like a combo of like everything human, right? He's just like a human. He's like if he could have a PP, Loki probably will have it. If he could have a JJ, he'd probably have it too. He doesn't give a shit. So I think that's the way
Maybe
Loki was like.
Loki
Oh,
was a
Odin is
lady boy.
yeah, he's definitely Loki was definitely like I remember stories like I didn't write this down. I should have looked more into this, but there's definitely more stuff where Loki does weird kinky shit related to other genders and stuff. It's sexist. Yeah, and this is Odin's horse. So the Armenians have the Nhang, which is a serpentine river monster. I'm assuming snake mermaid, snade, something like that. I don't know. Scientific term, don't at me. She also would drown men and drink their blood. There you go. The more I delve into mythology, the more I realize it's all about vampires, werewolves, and mermaids. By the way, it's
Everyone
crazy.
loves blood.
It's just blood. It's like it's all bloody stuff. But yeah, there's too many. Would have to keep listing these for days, which fuck that. We'll just use them for an actual interesting episode. Um, there's many cases where even today people spot these monsters in the legends of Skinwalker in America, mostly and often in rural and not very densely inhabited places. Who would have guessed? There's a thing called Skinwalker Ranch, but it has almost
Oh
nothing to do
yeah,
with skinwalkers.
I saw
Um,
that when I was researching Navajo
like
skinwalkers, and I was like, what does this ranch have to do
yeah,
with it?
it's like basically a place that has supposedly been placed or built
Supernatural stuff.
on a Navajo holy site, probably something that burial site. I don't know, one of those, and it's supposedly cursed. People have passed it down, like sold it, bought it. Like right now, they made a TV show about it. If you're interested, it's mostly aliens. Very little when it comes to actual skinwalkers. There have been sightings, but there's always sightings.
No.
Um,
If they want to make the place interesting and be like, oh, it's supernatural here, they can just say, hey, I saw a fucking skinwalker the other day, dude.
I remember seeing another podcast a while back, like ages ago. I think it was like the Chilluminati guys. They're like, so there's this one dude that's like, I kept it for 50 years, and then another family is like, we stayed in it for 1 year, and we were out the door almost instantly afterwards because it was scary and like there was shit happening. Aliens are somehow very much involved, stuff like that. So it's a crazy, weird story. Not really related to skinwalkers though, but like the name derives from them because of one or
Yeah.
two things.
Okay.
So yeah, there's one day I guess we're gonna fucking, I don't know, maybe the stuff of the future is gonna be related to UFOs and oil, probably lots of oil, especially if it comes to America. I feel that in a decade or two we're gonna have monsters just be called like the sludge of Arabia or the petroleum monsters of the Skinwalker Ranch, fingers crossed, stuff like that, dumb
Who
shit like
knows?
that.
Who knows?
There you go.
So coming back on what we said about like the Navajo skinwalkers being the bad guys, I mean, they are in Navajo culture. I'm sure there are like shamans who did good, but I don't think they were ever referenced to as skinwalkers as well. Because I didn't come across any of that when I was looking up the skinwalkers. They never mentioned the good ones.
Yeah. That's
So I'm
interesting.
sure there were like good magic wielding people, powered people, but I didn't come across any of them researching skinwalkers. They were always mentioned as people who had done evil, and the only way to become one was to kill a family member. So I don't think that's the good guys.
I like the whole fun fact that next drops, and there's like in Scotland we had wolvers. They're basically identical to werewolves, but they leave gifts for food for poor families instead of slaughtering them.
I like these wolvers.
That's like the fucking, like the Navajo probably had something similar to that. Just nobody knows about them because they're not like murdering. Like
everyone loves a bad story more than a good story,
Yeah, like evil, bloody, death-related stuff is more interesting to people than other stuff like that.
We're not interested in happy-go-lucky stories. Okay, so today's topic was recommended to us by Mudgy, one of last episode's viewers. He's here again today. Welcome back, Mudgy. Thank you so much for recommending Skinwalkers.
Wait, did Mudgy actually come by because of the Cthulhu stuff?
Yeah, he was here with
But was he there before? He was one of your viewers before that?
Not sure, be
honest.
Cool.
What you're telling me is that there are actually people that are interested in these types. So that's cool.
So if anyone has an idea, a recommendation for in 2 weeks, our next episode of Bloody Mythical Bloody Ooze, let us know. I keep switching the words, and I'm just like, apparently I don't even know the own title anymore.
No, it's fine. It just makes me laugh. I'm sorry. It just makes me laugh. I love it.
We didn't have a better title, okay?
It's fine. It's perfect.
Celtic folklore is really weird and interesting. Yeah, it could be something to look into. If you have recommendations for specific folklore for us to look into,
just look at Celtic folklore in general.
Slide into Nick Dix's DMs, my DMs. Tell us on YouTube in the comments, whatever way you want to talk to us. We're here. We're listening. We want to report on what people ask for. So, lastly, I want to thank everyone for tuning to this week's episode of Mythical Bloody Ooze, and see you guys next time.